Hey freaks, it's JJ. Welcome to my channel. Today I am back with part 2 of Avantasia's The Metal Opera. And of course this album was released in 2002, closely following The Metal Opera Part 1. So yes, I deeply apologize for my last video being so terribly glitchy and yeah, anyway, I'm sorry. So hopefully this video will be a lot better. I'm watching it and making sure that it doesn't mess up halfway through or anything like that. So yeah, thank you for bearing with me with my last video on this concept. Anyway, so here is to hoping this video will be a lot better. And yeah, let's dive into the story. So in the gold edition of the Metal Opera, Tobias Sammet says that this second part, this part 2 of the story, is kind of intended to be more so for personal interpretation. The story is a lot shorter than the story explanation for the first half, and yeah, it's just, I think you're supposed to kind of interpret it the way that you so choose, but there is still a story that he puts forth, and I'm going to do my best to explain it. Starting off with track 1, Seven Angels. And so first of all, I have to say that this is a great track, and also Oliver Hartman, who is doing the vocals of Pope Clemens in these two albums, does a fantastic job vocally. And also I was reading that he intentionally did a Dio impression during, a part of this song, and if I didn't know any better, I would absolutely think that Dio was singing on this album, because his Dio impression is so spot on. But it is not actually Dio, it is Oliver Hartman of the band Advance, which I have not heard of before, but I will probably look into here soon. Anyway, so we last left off in my last video, in the last part of the story, we're talking about how Gabriel was successful in stealing the seal from the three clerics, so that Avantasia is not locked out forever. So he regroups back in the safety of the capital of Avantasia. And although he's pretty happy, with the success he's had with stealing the seal back, he is also lamenting his sister and how she is still imprisoned in the witch tower under suspicion of being a witch, and, he still has yet to save her. Meanwhile, we also have Jacob, Pope Clemens, and the bishop are being kind of castigated by the voice of the tower. The tower, again, being who they think is God, but who is in reality a being more like Satan. Anyway, so the tower is extremely angry with these three clerics for their failure to lock Avantasia and set him free. And so these three fear that they will kind of be cast into the fires of hell if they do not go and bring back the stolen seal. Track 2, No Return. So here Gabriel is really determined to return back to Earth, return back to his human body so that he can go save his sister. However, Eldorain, who is the elf prince in Avantasia, convinces Gabriel to kind of take advantage of the safety that he has while at the capital. And he teaches Gabriel how to use his spirit within Avantasia to kind of understand the world and everything that it has to offer. And so he goes on kind of a learning journey in this track, is how I see it. And that takes us directly to track number 3, The Looking Glass. And so, as a thank you for, helping save Avantasia, Eldorain and, his elves take Gabriel to the Tree of Knowledge. And it's there that he's able to kind of glean the wisdom that might help him save his stepsister. And so he arrives at this tree, which stands kind of in the middle of this, giant lake thing. And he becomes entranced by the otherworldly being that is this tree and its cryptic power that it seems to have. And so Gabriel sort of becomes disoriented and begins, asking the tree more and more questions, and desperate to find these different answers, despite the tree's warning that, many people have gone insane trying to understand all this knowledge that the tree is able to give. And so, if the tree warns that if Gabriel digs too far into the truth and tries to grasp too much knowledge, that, he will eventually go insane. So this is kind of Gabriel descending into madness, really just kind of greedily eating up all this knowledge and wisdom and wanting more and more, despite how the tree is if I give you any more knowledge, you're probably going to go insane trying to interpret it. So then we move on to track number 4, in Quest 4. So it is here that Gabriel decides to risk, the insanity that the tree is warning him about, and asks more questions, the answers of which he can't even begin to fathom. And so just as his mind is about to break, he steps back and realizes that he has to stop, otherwise he's going to go insane. So this is Gabriel really just coming up right to the edge of insanity, and then finally backing off before he falls over the edge. Next up, we have track 5, The Final Sacrifice, and this is my favorite track on the album, probably because it's a little bit heavier. I mean, it might be my favorite song out of these first 2 albums of theirs. Anyway, the tree shows Gabriel this like one final image. So the lake that the tree is sitting in begins to kind of move, and soon like a tremble of ripples turn into giant waves, and the surface of the lake then turns to flames. And he hears tortured screams kind of like emanating from within the fire of this lake. And then the flames eventually clear, and then the surface of the lake reflects a vision from the past. And the vision is of Jacob as a young man. So if you remember, Jacob is the friar that has been the mentor to Gabriel when he was an apprentice monk. And so this is Jacob as a young man before Gabriel ever met him. And he realizes that part of Jacob's soul was stolen and then imprisoned in the tunnels beneath Rome to suffer the fires of hell in this giant chalice where he is trapped with a bunch of other suffering souls. So the part of Jacob's soul that is trapped beneath Rome then begs for Gabriel's help to set him free. Track 6, Neverland. So here we return to the 3 clerics, the Pope, the Bishop, and the Friar, and they're in Avantasia searching for the thief who stole the seal. So although the parts that we have seen of Avantasia so far have been these lush, beautiful, heavenly-like lands, there are also parts of Avantasia that are more akin to like a wasteland. And so that is where Jacob, the Pope, and the Bishop now find themselves wandering through this wasteland in search of the thief. So the Bishop believes that, their current circumstances are a result of God, aka the Tower in their mind, punishing them for their failure. And so he kind of, as the villain that he is, he kind of wishes his troubles would be transferred onto someone less holy than he. He thinks because he is so holy, he should not have to be, condemned with these troubles. He would rather that some commoner or slave or anyone but him deserves more of God's wrath than he does. So this is kind of a dip into, the more like the villain psyche, is how I kind of look at this Neverland, being that these men kind of live in this fantasy world where they interpret everything as, oh, I'm too special and I'm too good and I'm too holy to ever fall into disgrace or ever, be treated poorly by God. And so, they're definitely not good people in this, and also quite delusional too. Anyway, we then move on to track 7, Anywhere. So here, Jacob decides to heed the call of his old master, and he decides to go free Jacob's soul from beneath the tunnels of Rome. And so he decides to go retrieve his soul and, also set free all the other tortured souls that are being held in this chalice beneath Rome. And, in this track, he is doing the right thing, but he is also lamenting that, yet again, he has not been able to go about his real mission, which is to set his sister free. And so he's called away to do what he knows is right, but he hopes that Anna can still hold on just a little while longer until after he frees these tortured souls and he is able to go and rescue her. Track 8, Chalice of Agony. So it is here that Gabriel goes to Eldorain, who is the elf prince of Avantasia, and seeks his help in freeing the souls that are trapped beneath Rome. So Eldorain explains that the tower uses these tortured souls and kind of feeds off of them and their pain, and he turns that into dark magic that he uses to do whatever evil thing that he wants to do. And so there's also this stone creature that is believed to guard the Chalice of Souls, and so he warns them to watch out for that. And so Gabriel and his dwarf friend Regrin, they go to the gate to return to the earthly realm. And so they pass through the gate, and it's not quite sure, I'm not quite certain here, but I'm assuming that Gabriel goes through the gate and arrives in Earth still in his Avantasia body, because his real human body is like in the glen with Vanderoy still. So I'm assuming that's what happens. It doesn't really say, but that's kind of how I imagine it, is that Gabriel is able to use this Avantasia body to go on this mission really briefly before he goes back. Anyway, I thought I'd just clear that up in case anyone's wondering. Gabriel and Regrin find the chalice in the tunnels beneath Rome, and they decide to push it over to let all the souls spill free. But in the process of tipping the giant chalice over, they have also awakened the giant stone beast. So the stone creature comes alive and begins catching up all the spilled souls and collecting them again into the chalice. The stone creature also then begins chasing Gabriel and Regrin through the tunnels, and they are running for their lives, but eventually the stone creature catches Regrin just as Gabriel crosses the threshold of the portal back to Avantasia. And so he makes it back to Avantasia through the gate to safety, but now he realizes that he has lost his friend to the stone beast, and the creature has killed Regrin. And also, as Gabriel is mourning the death of his friend, he realizes that he doesn't even know if he's freed Jacob's soul. That, the souls were kind of indistinguishable from them when he spilled them out of the chalice. And that Jacob's soul could very well have been one of the ones that the stone creature was able to collect again and return to the chalice. And so now he's lost a friend, and he doesn't even know if his mission was successful at all. Oh, I hope my voice sounds okay. I'm still a little bit sick. Track 9, Memory. So once Gabriel returns to Avantasia, the Avantasians are so completely thankful for all that he has done for him, and Gabriel decides that, it's finally time to return to his earthly body and go save his stepsister. And so he makes it back to his human body, and he wakes up in the woods with Vanderoy, and Vanderoy is also very thankful for everything that Gabriel has done for him. And because Gabriel has, risked his life so many times for all of these different missions, Vanderoy decides that Gabriel has risked his life enough and it is now his turn to repay the favor in kind. So Vanderoy volunteers to go save Anna himself so that Gabriel doesn't have to risk his life once again. And so Gabriel goes to Vanderoy's cottage to kind of recover from his long journey and his multiple missions, while the druid goes to the witch's tower to try and seek Anna. So once Vanderoy arrives at the witch's tower, he locates where Anna is being held, and he arrives just in time to find who else but Friar Jacob in the cell with Anna. So apparently Friar Jacob has returned from Avantasia and given up the search for the stolen seal. So Jacob explains that he is there to try and free Anna, but he doesn't know how or why he got there. And so it's not stated in the text directly, but clearly Jacob's soul was freed from the Chalice of Agony and was then able to return to Jacob's body, which is what has altered his being and made him want to see the innocent woman free. So because Jacob was missing part of his soul before, which is what sort of made him a bit of a villain, now that it's been returned to him, he now wants to do the good and honest thing and set Anna free because he knows that she is innocent. Meanwhile, Falk, the bailiff, was recently told by one of the witches that he was sentenced to death, that he will meet a bloody end. So Falk has kind of been plagued by dreams of this witch's prophecy, and he wakes up in the middle of the night from another nightmare and hears voices in the tower above him, so he goes to investigate. So once Vanderoy realizes that him and Jacob are there for the same reason, together they free Anna, and Vanderoy explains to Anna where she can go find her brother. The bailiff barges in through the door, and in the process of barging in, he ends up killing the old and frail Vanderoy. So then Falk and his men get into a battle with Jacob. So Jacob gets beaten pretty devastatingly by Falk, and in the ensuing scuffle, Jacob ends up driving an iron through Falk's chest and kills him, thus fulfilling the witch's prophecy of his bloody death. So we have Vanderoy dead in the scene, we also have Falk dead in the scene, and Jacob now has his soul back together and has just killed a man. Meanwhile, Gabriel finally arrives at Vanderoy's cottage, and there he kind of settles in, but he's still fearful that he was not able to set free Jacob's soul, and is also ignorant of whether or not Vanderoy's mission will work and whether or not Anna will actually be set free. So the 10th and final track, Into the Unknown. So a search for the missing witch ensues, but of course, Anna is never found. So she's mourning Vanderoy's death as she's traveling to go find her brother, but she's happy that she is free and that she gets to go seek her brother who orchestrated her rescue. At the same time, Gabriel speaks kind of, wistfully of his dreams, and maybe it's not really in the book, but I think Gabriel maybe is afraid that, the mission to save his sister has failed, and perhaps maybe he thinks about seeking refuge in Avantasia. So if you want a happy ending to this story, which I believe this song is a fairly happy song, and so if you want the happy ending version, I think that Anna arrives at Vanderoy's cottage and is reunited with her brother, and they both live long and happy lives. However, if you want more of a sad ending to it, I think you could kind of read into it and think that maybe Gabriel is so anxious about his sister's survival and rescue that he's unable to handle the uncertainty of the circumstances, and he seeks to return to Avantasia where everything will be magical and beautiful once more. And so when Anna arrives back at Vanderoy's cottage, she finds it empty with no sign of Gabriel because he has left back through a gate back to Avantasia. So that's like the sad ending version. Probably not accurate. It's probably more of a happy ending if you want my opinion, but those are kind of my two interpretations, and I'm sure there's multiple interpretations that you can take from this track. That is the full story of the metal opera. Thank you again so much for suggesting it to me. I had so much fun with this, and I'm excited to discover more bands and more concept albums, and I think I will probably next time I come back to Avantasia, I think I want to cover the Scarecrow album, which has been highly recommended to me, so I might not be for a little while, but if you guys leave a lot of comments with being really excited about me talking more about Avantasia, then I'll do that a little bit sooner. But yes, please comment other concept albums that you want me to cover down in the comments. I will have you know that I have a very, very long list of concept albums to cover, like way too many. I think there's at least 60 concept albums that I have on my list that I want to cover eventually. If you want to jump to the top of the list of stuff that you want me to cover in a video, then go down to the link in the description and join my Metalhead community. From there, you'll be able to get to my suggestion box, which I always prioritize the suggestions from my Metalhead community first. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think of this concept, and if you had any different interpretations, I'm always interested to know. So thanks for watching, till next time.